You're watching Students Behind the Uniform, highlighting Southwest Colorado's elite student athletes, with host Jordan Stanley. I'm Jordan Stanley with Student Behind the Uniform, and today we have Ian and Deyvon Black, basketball players for Miller Middle School. You just returned from Switzerland and you both play basketball for Miller Middle School. So in Switzerland, what sports did you play and how was it different?
We played 3 or 4 main sports, and those were basketball, skiing, and track and field. And in track and field, we mainly excelled at shot put, discus, the 100, and high jump, and long jump as well.
And it was different because basketball wasn't as big of a sport there. It was really overshadowed by skiing because it was sort of in the same season. They sort of overlapped. For example, last year we only had 2 games, honestly, because the coaches, what they did was they would call each other and say, hey, is this game going to work out for you? And it would be yes or no.
Going to Switzerland and going to school there is a great opportunity. So both of you explain what the change is like coming back to America and playing for Miller.
Well, I mean, as you said, Switzerland is an amazing place. And the difference, I would say, is here it's a bit more laid back, if you will. I mean, in Switzerland, we had deadlines and stuff. And here we have deadlines, but we also are given extensions if you need it.
But they just had different curriculum, and the teachers, honestly, were all pretty much British, all of them. So they just had different teaching styles compared to all the teachers here.
Basketball is a team-oriented sport, so what was it like having kids from all over having to come together and play, and what were some of the challenges of that?
I mean, it wasn't so hard. I mean, there wasn't that many cultural differences because everyone spoke English, and almost all of the parents of the people who played in a sport had already traveled and lived somewhere internationally. So they already had some of that international culture, if you will. And so it wasn't that hard because everyone, even the Swiss people and the French people and the people from Mexico and everywhere already spoke English.
And the only challenge necessarily was that sometimes personality-wise we just didn't get along as well off the court. But whenever we played on the court, we always tried to sort of ignore that. But the only real challenge culturally wasn't really cultural differences, it was more personality differences.
Basketball is an American sport compared to soccer, for example. So what was it like with different people coming together compared to Miller?
So the difference is really basketball in Switzerland. It wasn't as structured, if you will. So we only had one play, for example, and it wasn't as complicated or as competitive as soccer is in Europe. And here basketball is way more competitive. And so it was just different.
Yeah. Really, people there weren't as skilled because, like I said before, basketball was sort of a pastime for some of the players. They were just waiting to be able to play, let's say, rugby or tennis or something like that in the spring. But here, it's the players who want to play come to play basketball because that's the game that they want to play.
You both are great athletes, and why play basketball? Where does the love of the sport come from?
So we've always known the correct technique. We've always known how to play basketball. And like you said, we've always loved sports. We used to, when we were little, we would watch football and basketball with our dad. Basketball actually developed roughly 3 years ago when we were still in Switzerland. All of a sudden, we just started really getting into it. We got some apps and we started watching more basketball games. And we just started increasing our knowledge of the game. and we were able to we were able to practice more, and we were able to work on our game, and so we just, in a way, became obsessed by basketball.
Yeah, so one point, like when we moved to Switzerland, we just were looking for a sport that we could just sort of focus on compared to previously we had been just playing as many sports as we could because we just loved playing sports. So we tried rowing at first. In the end, we didn't like that. So then we thought, okay, with our height, maybe we should try basketball. And so we went to our school's basketball club, and we just started really liking it. And like Ian said, we just clicked with it really well. And so been playing it ever since.
What positions do you play, and why do you love playing those positions?
So usually I play the 4 or the power forward, and the other 2 positions that I can play, but not on a regular basis, is the center and the small forward. Excuse me. Those are on rare occasions. I'm almost always the 4, and the 4 or the power forward. I like playing that position a lot, especially because on the court I'm a big guy, like I'm tall, but I'm also very quick, and so it just allows me to use my natural abilities and do what I'm good at. So
yeah, I usually play the same position as he does. Sometimes I'll play the center or small forward, but usually it's the power forward. I like playing that position as well for the same reason. I get to use my size. When I play the small forward, which is actually more often than I play the center, it gives me more freedom to use my size and my quickness and be able to sort of create open shots or pull the defense towards me and then give someone else an open shot. So I just really like being able to use my size and my speed, like Ian said, both of us. So.
It is hard being a great athlete and a great student at the same time. So how do you do it? And does basketball help you in the classroom?
So from an early age, our parents have always told us that we're going to college. We need to have good grades if we're going to do that. And so basketball, it's been difficult playing basketball and being a good student as well, because basketball takes so much of your time after school, so you don't have as much time to do homework. So there have been sacrifices, and we've had to stay up late or spend most of our free time on Saturdays working on extra homework. But that's what it takes to be a good athlete and to have good grades and be able to be on the basketball team. It takes sacrifice, and it takes hard work.
I'm Jordan Stanley with Student Behind the Uniform, and tune in next time.